everybody, and welcome to GRANDOS. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about the Melanie Martinez controversy and all of the new information that has surfaced. If you aren't already aware, a few years back in 2017, Melanie Martinez was accused of sexual assault, and her accuser was Timothy Heller. It started with this tweet, and I'll be reading everything out to you guys. You can skip ahead if you already know about all of this. When I wrote this story about my assault, I initially wasn't going to name the abuser, but I think it's important for you all to know this is about Melanie Martinez. I've kept this secret for years, convincing myself that it wasn't a big deal and I wasn't hurt by it. The thought of accepting that my best friend raped me seems insane. Even typing that doesn't feel real to me. I started telling the story to those closest to me as somewhat of a joke. Haha, can you believe this crazy night? But I began to get responses I wasn't expecting. Concerned ones. It's hard to say someone you loved about you. When faced with a friend who really needed help though, I can honestly say that she let me down completely. During the most difficult time in my life, my rock bottom, her power and control over me grew, and I was silenced. While being open about realizing how much help I needed, I was made to feel guilty. I had to apologize for having an extreme panic attack where I thought I was going to die, because it ruined her night. Endless incidents like this. One night, during a sleepover, she became increasingly interested in my sexual preferences. As someone who had previously been through sexual abuse, it's hard for me to talk about. I was obviously uncomfortable, but she was my best friend, so I tried to be open about it. The conversation never seemed to end though. I had work very early in the morning. She began asking me while in bed if I would have sex with her. While being incredibly uncomfortable by this offer, I attempted to laugh it off. I had a boyfriend at this time and she knew that. He doesn't have to know. It's not a big deal. It went on for hours. Asking me why I didn't want to. That it would be fun. I repeatedly said no. I had work in the morning. I just wanted to sleep. I was exhausted. I attempted to sleep, but was kept up the entire night by my friend begging me to sleep with her. It seemed strange, but she was my best friend. I said no and thought we could move on. The next night, unfortunately, went the exact same way. Regardless of my response the first night, she was not giving up. If she had gotten the hint, she didn't care. I was exhausted. She convinced me to smoke weed, and since I have a hard time saying no to her, I complied, thinking maybe then I'd just be able to fall asleep and avoid the situation altogether. The same conversation began to happen, continuously trying to convince me it was going to be okay and it would be fun and feel good. I would say my boyfriend would be so upset, I really need to sleep, I have work in the morning. I said every form of no I could think of. As I lay praying to fall asleep, she began touching my arm. I allowed this to happen. Maybe she'd give up. This went on for maybe an hour. I got increasingly uncomfortable. I started giggling, saying that it tickled. I in no way wanted to make this a sexual situation. Can I just do this? Can I just touch your arm? Can I just touch your boobs? She began bartering with me. All I wanted to do was go to sleep. She began talking about the appearance of my boobs and begged to just touch them. We didn't have to do anything else. I was so exhausted and confused and high and belittled, I just allowed it to happen. This led to her touching the rest of me. I never said yes. I said no, repeatedly. But she used her power over me and broke me down. Just so there's no confusion, I was molested by my best friend. I lay still, in shock, completely not reciprocating. I hate speaking so bluntly on this because it makes me feel extremely uncomfortable. But she performed oral sex on me, and then I was penetrated with a sex toy without being asked. That's what happened. The bottom line that I need to always remind myself is, I said no, for 2 nights straight. It doesn't matter that I didn't resist during the action. I had been broken down. She knew I didn't want to. I made that clear. I didn't scream at her. I didn't force her off of me. 1, because I loved her. 2, because I just wanted it all to be over. We never talked about this night ever again. While it completely messed with my head, there was no way I could have been by my best friend, right? Our friendship ended because she decided she didn't have time for me anymore, to worry about me anymore. She cared too much about me. It was holding her back. I'm not sure how to end this story. I'm terrified of the response I'm going to get. The only reason I do this now is because I'm hoping because of recent events people will believe me. If you begin to doubt the abuse taking place in the story, I beg you to imagine her role in this being a man. Girls can rape girls. Best friends can rape best friends. Friendship does not equal consent. Silence doesn't equal consent. I wish it wasn't so hard for me to convince myself of these things. Now, obviously, all of these accusations are insane, but Melanie Martinez did come out with a response on December 5th. Her response was, I'm horrified and saddened by the statements and story told tonight by Timothy Heller. What she and I shared was a close friendship for a period of time. We came into each other's lives as we were both starting our careers as artists, and we tried to help each other. We both had pain in dealing with our individual demons and the new paths we were forging, but I truly felt we were trying to lift each other up. She never said no to what we chose to do together, and although we parted ways, I am sending her love and light always. I feel like Melanie saying that she never said no was a little weird because even though she didn't say no doesn't mean she said yes. But anyway. After that, Timothy Heller got interviewed by a newspaper, and the title was, Melanie Martinez, accuser Timothy Heller remained silent because Voice Star wasn't a man. In this interview, it says, according to Heller, 20 minutes after she posted the tweet, Martinez tried to contact her. It was the first time Heller had heard from her in more than a year. I started sobbing when I saw Melanie was calling me, and I blocked her, Heller said. The article also says Martinez then tried calling Heller's boyfriend, Mikey, and sent him several text messages asking him to put her in touch with Heller. In Martinez's text messages, which Newsweek has read, the 22-year-old singer says she recently dreamed about Heller and that inspired her to get in touch. Martinez also suggests that the services of a healer named Raven, which Heller said she found insane and deeply insulting. After all of this has happened, Melanie Martinez's fans went back into Timothy Heller's timeline to try and find evidence that this might be a fabricated story and that Melanie didn't do anything, and they did happen to find that she did lie about the date that it happened because apparently they were in 2 different states. and that was because she had posted a photo of them on June 25th, 2017, and she thought that this was the correct date. After all of this, Melanie Martinez released a tweet saying, "I understand how hard it could be to see my side of the story, considering no one with a heart would want to invalidate anyone speaking up about this topic. I want to thank my fans who took the time to research the timeline, analyze past Instagram photos, and question the story being told, which reveal her false statements. I trusted so many people in my life who took advantage of that trust for their own personal gain. Please know that my intentions with everything that I do in my life are always pure, and I would never be intimate with someone without their absolute consent." And on December 22nd, 2017, Melanie released sort of a diss track, kind of, towards Timothy Heller called Piggyback, only on SoundCloud, and it was a song just like responding to all of the allegations and kind of trashing on her. I've listened to the song, but I'm pretty sure she removed it. And already all of this is terrible. I understand if some people might not believe Timothy Heller as an accuser, but if somebody comes forward about something like assault, it is such a terrible thing to harass them and almost ruin their life. Just a few days ago, Timothy Heller had released a TikTok under the account Frick My Life 500, and to my knowledge, the account has now been taken down since I can't find it anywhere, but I do have the footage. Here you are. I'm going to be reading something I wrote. It's not particularly well written, but I just needed to collect my thoughts. Whether you know who I am or not, I ask you to please listen to my story. If you do recognize me, then you haven't heard from me in a couple of years, and that's because I was effectively run off the internet. You also may have heard that I admitted to lying, or that it was proven that I lied. Neither are true. Speaking out against my abuser ruined my life. Here's how we got to that point. During the Me Too movement, I chose to speak out against a former friend who had essayed me. I was young, naive, and could never imagine how this would end up affecting my life. I believed that as long as I told the truth, things would turn out all right. I was very wrong. After my initial statement, describing in detail what happened, my abuser issued a statement in response. She used the sentence, "She never said no to what we chose to do together." While I did say no, in many different ways, this sentence was actually quite validating for me to hear. She clearly didn't understand how consent works, and she admitted that something took place between us. I wish it ended there. I made the mistake of doing an interview with Daily Mail. While being interviewed, they asked for more specific details, like when the incident took place. It'd been around 2 years prior, so I didn't remember the exact date. What I did remember was a picture I took the next day. I went back in my camera roll, found the picture, and told them the day of the incident was the day before. Unfortunately, I was wrong. The picture in my camera roll appeared multiple times. I can't explain why. When the interview came out, her fans went back in her posts to that date to find that we were in different states. If you've never heard my story before, you might at this point wonder, why would that matter? She admitted something between you took place in her statement. I agree, and this is just one of the parts that drives me crazy. After this discovery, she released a second statement, in which she thanks her fans for researching the timeline and analyzing past Instagram posts, which reveal my false statements. Unfortunately, this was enough for 99% of her fans to take what she said as truth and deem me a liar. The complete contradiction of her statements meant nothing. The events after this are so much and so overwhelming, it's hard for me to recount. She ended up releasing essentially a diss track about me, with lyrics perpetuating the idea that I lied about all of this for fame. I was a small musician at the time, and after speaking out, gained tens of thousands of followers. While there were some supporters, the majority of the followers were people who actively hated me. I suddenly had thousands of hate accounts dedicated to me, thousands of dislikes and negative comments on all of my music, and completely ridiculous fabricated stories of me being posted online. I really hoped it would die out and people who liked me would stick around and I'd be able to move on with my career, but it never died. Anything I attempted to do was infected with this story. Googling me results in many first-page results calling me a liar. The people who hated me took it upon themselves to ruin every opportunity for me. Partnerships with brands, modeling opportunities, they were all flooded with comments saying I lied about SA. In addition to this, my home address, phone number, and family's phone numbers were all leaked. I became so discouraged with my own music career, I essentially stopped. I started doing SW in an attempt to regain some autonomy, but that was taken from me as well when people who hated me hacked the account. I was just trying to move on. My adult content was being spread and mocked by the people who hated me. Every single one of my social media accounts was hacked, including my email. The only thing they didn't get into was my bank account. I was given the classic the haters advice, but until you're bombarded with the amount that I had to endure, you really can't imagine how it would affect you. It was just so much louder than any amount of support I was receiving. As you can imagine, my mental health was and is majorly affected by this situation. And while I wish I was the type of person with the confidence to say the haters and stick it out, I'm just not. I'm sensitive and not self-confident and never have been. And this made it so much worse. It got to the point where I could no longer put up with the abuse. Holding on to this public image was no longer worth the pain, and I deactivated all of my public accounts. In doing this, I also saw this as completely giving up on being a musician. I couldn't put myself through the public scrutiny anymore. So that's where I've been the past couple of years, in private. It was a huge relief to no longer be bombarded with the amount of hate I was receiving every day, but now I'm stuck with the after effects. I imagine every day the life that I could have lived if this all hadn't happened. Would I be the musician I always wanted to be? It's kept me in a complete freeze state. I won't go into too much detail about how much I've been suffering the past couple of years. Frankly, it's embarrassing. I wish I could move on. But I've never wanted things to be over more than I have now. I've been in partial hospitalization programs and attempted to regain any semblance of confidence and hope for my life, but I can't shake that this is the wrong timeline for me. I didn't do anything wrong. I spoke the truth. If you're familiar with my story, you may have also heard that I admitted to lying, and I can assure you that never happened. There were photoshopped images spread around of a confession that never happened because I have nothing to confess. I never lied. You may have also heard that I accused other celebrities of this, which I can promise you never happened either. There's so many other terrible things that people have made up about me that I'm not going to dissect and defend right now. But I was successfully gaslit into thinking I was a bad person who deserved this. I'm so scared to speak out about this again. There's a high possibility that I won't receive any support from this, and people who hate me will target me again, and I go back into hiding. I ask that if you are someone who is under the impression that I lied about this, to please hear me out. Please think about her contradicting statements. Please realize that there's no one on earth who knows what happened that night besides me and her. And even the smallest possibility that I could be telling the truth should be enough for you to not want to risk ruining an innocent person's life in this way. I'm completely exhausted from begging people to believe me for years now. I'm not sure what I'm hoping will come from this. It's gotten to be quite humiliating to beg people to care. But if you haven't heard my story before, thank you for hearing me, and I could really use your help in rewriting the false narrative of who I am and what happened to me. Now, all of this is honestly terrible. Somebody coming out with their story and getting harassed out of their career is terrible. For anybody going through something similar, I want you guys to know that you are not alone. After she made this post, Timothy went live on TikTok. In summary, she was just encouraging people to watch her video and hear her story, and she was expressing her appreciation for the people who were supporting her. Even after all of this, Timothy is still receiving so much hate. My heart goes out for her, and I really hope people listen to her story. If you're found guilty for something like this, you're guilty until proven innocent. And proof isn't the accuser mixing up some dates. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to let me know what you think in the comments below, and like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!